think the last stretch.
We've only got good ball.
Righto.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here tonight. Minister Susan Ley recently made a decision to not proceed with the building of an all-weather runway at Davis Research Base in Antarctica. What level of consultation did the Minister have with the Department of Defence, and what advice was received prior to making such a decision, which many see as retrograde?
Senator, I can probably assist with that. That was a decision taken by the government. There was extensive consultation with a range of departments, and indeed I and Mr Ellis personally were in discussions with the Secretary and the CDF and others on that matter before it was considered by government.
I understand Defence were pushing it.
I think the view taken by the government was that the combination of the very significant environmental impact that proceeding with the airstrip would do, together with the very sizable cost, ultimately meant that proceeding with a project that would not provide results for another 15 or 20 years was not viable. However, there are a whole range of other ways that we are very confident we'll be able to ensure continuing and indeed expanded presence in Antarctica.
Was the Minister aware of the likelihood of China then building the strategically important runway, thereby enhancing its claim for a portion of the Australian Antarctic Territory when the Australian Antarctic Territory is renegotiated, or even sooner because China is not a party to the treaty?
A full range of geopolitical and other considerations were available to government in taking the decision, Senator.
Is the Minister aware that China has already built 5 research bases within the Australian Antarctic Territory to enhance its future claim?
The answer is yes, we certainly are aware. I'll let Mr Ellis answer as to the number, but certainly we're aware that China and indeed a number of other countries have established bases in the area claimed by Australia.
Does this mean that environmental issues such as the comfort of penguins can be used to negate issues of national security to the detriment of all Australians? You mentioned the 15-year time span for the return. I've just come from the Australian Rail Track Corporation, and they're talking about a 30-year time frame with severe
some of
doubts.
these projects do involve a long period of time, Senator, but the answer is that we're very confident that the right decision was made, taking into account all of the factors, and as I've said, indicating that Australia's continuing presence, our scientific research, our expeditionary exploration are second to none and will continue over the decades ahead.
So is this yet another example of the short-term strategy visions that have dogged Australian Antarctic policy, making us a pushover for the Chinese Communist Party?
I wouldn't agree with the premise of any of that, Senator. Australia very significantly ensures that we're a strong player in the international system that focuses on Antarctica, on Kamilar, and Australia, through investments such as the Noina, which we've just been talking about, a $1.8 billion investment, together with all of the other activities that Mr Ellis and our hundreds of staff, both in Hobart and in Antarctica, undertake, we believe that we are very much ensuring Australia's interests are protected and advanced.
Well, perhaps a question to Senator Hume. The Chinese Communist Party just rolls over weak leaders. They see in Australia a country that has handed over its sovereignty to many UN agreements, destroying our energy, for example, our property rights, UN policies gutting our culture. These get no respect from the CCP, and I think it makes us targets. So was this the best decision to make at a time of heightened concern about the expansionist policies and aggression of the CCP, especially as what they're doing to us in trade?
I don't necessarily agree with the premise of your question, Senator Roberts, but what I will say is that Australia in no way will be ceding any of our territory. The decision that was made was always going to be contingent on a final investment decision next year and careful consideration of the environmental impact, economic investment and broader national interests. Australia feels that it's particularly important that all nations place the Antarctic environment at the absolute centre of their decision-making and respect the treaty system. And the government is now considering further investments in our scientific research and environmental programs in Antarctica that include that continue to create jobs and investment for Tasmania as the international gateway to East Antarctica.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.